we're in a unique space because we're 24/7, right? I mean, we talk with, when we're hiring, when we're talking with our employees, when we're talking about promotions or anything like that. That doesn't mean you as an individual will work 24/7. It just means, you have to understand that there will be a time where you get a call on a Saturday afternoon, a Sunday evening, a holiday. Again, we're large enough where we spread that around, but at the end of the day, we have customers that require us to be monitoring and watching their infrastructure and their email and their cloud environment 24/7. And that's unlike, maybe some other industries where people go home and kind of don't have to worry that their customers need them all day, every day. But we're in this business, we're open 24/7, 365, and it presents challenges, but certainly presents opportunities as well.
Welcome back to the CEO Move Season 2. We are here today with Chris Caprio, Chief Executive Officer of Focus Technology, about a $40 million MSP based in Boston, Massachusetts. Go Red Sox. And Chris, we're excited to have you because you're a pretty recent CEO. In 2023, you were elevated to CEO from CFO. Must have been doing something right. And so we want to hear first off a little bit about what an MSP is. You're the second person I've had on here that was the chief of an MSP that was in super growth mode. Tell the audience of CEOs that are listening what an MSP is and what they do and what you're excited about over the next 6 to 8 months.
No, appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Kurt. Happy to be on the podcast. MSP, it's kind of evolved, right? I think it always initiated from an IT perspective, but I know a lot of accounting firms and recruiting firms, HR firms that use an MSP. So MSP obviously stands for Managed Service Provider. We're in the IT space, and we're helping small middle-market companies with their outsourced IT. We do everything from help desk, knock, SOC, field techs, networking, cloud, cybersecurity. Really trying to either fully outsource or augment your IT. You give my team a call and we help support you on your technology stack.
When's the best time for that small to mid-size company to leverage Focus Technology? And when you say small to mid-size, let's talk numbers.
Yeah. We typically support companies like about 100 to 1,000. We have some smaller, we have some bigger, but that's our target market. And it's because they've pretty much evolved, right? When you're a startup, every penny truly matters. The last thing you need is you're thinking about technology, right? You may be thinking about your product, your service, whatever you're trying to develop, and it's hard to allocate money properly to technology. So when you get to that, size where maybe you've gotten a Series A or you have a, investor, you're looking to figure out, okay, I got to worry about cybersecurity. I got to make sure my new hires are onboarded correctly. I got to make sure if my office, manufacturing facility, cloud environment goes down, I have somebody that's an expert that can get me back up and running and won't impact my business. So typically it's when that first round of funding comes in, or I guess when they're having problems with their existing provider, maybe give us a call.
So you mentioned a word there that I hear a lot and that I touch on a lot in my business, which is onboarding. Tell us a little bit about some of the projects you work on for companies that need support onboarding, or in some cases maybe offboarding executives or new employees at a company.
Yeah, I mean, we see the gamut, right? I mean, I remember most recently, about a year or so ago, we took on a customer that was three people. In 3 weeks, they were 200 people. So, ordering laptops, getting them onboarded, making sure they're ready to go work. They bought a division, but they wiped out the technology of that division. So that's a case where, speed to market helped us win that account. To your earlier point, I got a call about a month ago from a COO of a customer of ours who, had some concerns about an employee and wanted to make sure I, as a CEO, was involved in the offboarding of the executive they were letting go. They wanted to make sure they did it correctly, not just from a legal perspective, but from a technology perspective, because they had concerns that this person had access that they may not remember to take away from a SaaS application or things like that. So we spent half a day just going through their usage on the computer, what sites they visited, what accesses they've had.
Wow.
That's a
With the
case of an
executive.
offboarding. Yeah, yep, yep.
And that's very interesting to me. So you spent a half day with the executive. They knew it was coming, or did they not know it was coming?
No, no, they were terminating the employee, C-level executive. And before they did that, my team looked at, what access they had. They gave, we had a list of their applications to
Hmm.
make sure we knew we were taking access away. And they were doing the meeting at 10 o'clock. So my team started at 10:01 and got through the list and took the access away before the meeting ended.
That's takes a certain skill set, I would say, if you were involved, right, in doing that and in doing that effectively and successfully. I'm trying to think of that's a valuable service to offer a small to medium-sized business, that alone. So
We're in a unique space because we're 24/7, right? I mean, we talk with, when we're hiring, when we're talking with our employees, when we're talking about promotions or anything like that, that doesn't mean you as an individual will work 24/7. It just means, you have to understand that there will be a time where you get a call on a Saturday afternoon, a Sunday evening, a holiday. Again, we're large enough where we spread that around, but at the end of the day, we have customers that require us to be monitoring and watching their infrastructure and their email and their cloud environment 24/7. And that's unlike, maybe some other industries where people go home and kind of don't have to worry that their customers need them all day, every day. But we're in this business, we're open 24/7, 365, and it presents challenges, but certainly presents opportunities as well.
all right, I'm going to get a little deeper than surface level right now with this question, because I think other CEOs or other MSPs would love to hear it and love to hear how you tackle these things. What's the hardest case of offboarding or onboarding you've ever had, or one of the hardest cases you've had in recent history, where it required not just Chris, but Chris and a few others from Focus Technology?
Well, I will say I don't do I don't have a technical background, so I may be helping us with the plan, but certainly we have tremendous engineers that help us. But I would say the most complicated situation wasn't an onboarding or offboarding, it was actually a referral we got, and a customer had ransomware.
Okay.
And they were down, and fortunately for us, we weren't involved with that account before the incident happened. They are now our customer, but they were down for almost 6 weeks until they got back fully up and running. We helped them get a little bit here and there, but they had those, security incidents can be scary, certainly for the executives of the company that was compromised. And it's a long, stressful process dealing with lawyers, insurance companies, obviously IT people to get you back up and running. They're outsourcing through, our network, but they're negotiating with ransomware, attackers, companies really that these, criminal industries set up, that have a process once they get ransomware built into your environment, and it's tough. It's tough talking with the executives every day. They're stressed. They're worried about the impact of their business. Is it going to be able to, get out of this? Are they going to be able to continue? How do they talk to their customers? How do they talk to their vendors? And it's a lot. It's very stressful, and that's something we help with. And my role in that isn't technical. It's just keeping, the CEO, CFO of that company calm, because we've been through it. We know the process, and we really believe in what we can do, and the support contractors and our own employees that we have around us that can help them get back and up and running efficiently and effectively, and really just, being a sounding board for them as they get through a stressful time.
This is a hot button issue right now. Cybersecurity, I'm glad you mentioned it. I have clients that are worried about this, and it's top 3 to top 5 issues that they're worried about, right? As they grow and they're in growth mode and they're doing well, any good CEO, any good leader says, well, what could take us down, and what could hinder that growth or pause it right now? Because I can't afford to have it paused. I can't afford to have it hindered.
Yeah.
My customers won't appreciate it either. Um, this is going to sound like an ad for Focus Technology, but what are we talking about in terms of time saved, money saved, leveraging your MSP to support them with this? Give us
Yeah,
give
so
us an example of, you know, here's what it could cost you if you didn't use us.
yeah, I mean, there's certainly others like us, but we're SOC 2 Type 2 certified, which, we're told by the AICPA about 10% of MSPs are SOC 2 Type 2 certified. So we'll agree with
Wow.
those numbers, 1 in 10. And what that means to me and what I try and tell our customers is everything we do is built with cybersecurity first. How we answer the phone, how we onboard and offboard our own employees, our customers' employees, how we manage your network, how we monitor your environment is all done in a very detailed, backed up process from a cybersecurity, a lot around NIST standards and so on. So, that is what we offer and what we feel confident in our go-to-market is yes, that is cost you a little bit more on a monthly basis, a little bit more on an annual basis because our services, we need extra people to handle that process for our customers. But in a recent case that I was told about, about a 300 person firm got ransomware, not the one I was talking about, but through a
Mhm.
network of mine, and it cost them $1.4 million. If you had two or 300 people, that's probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years worth of our billings. So, what can be saved is, one incident over 6 weeks can cost you about 3 or 4 years of your IT budget. And that's what we try and get through, and kind of go into my earlier comment is why we like a customer that's a little bit more down their, path of the business that they've had, and they understand that. And to your point, they look at that and say, if I'm down for 6 weeks, because I mean, these are published numbers, not us, that they're over $1 million, they're 4 to 6 weeks you're down for. If you think you can survive as an owner or, ownership group, a board for 4 to 6 weeks, then maybe you don't need to spend the amount of money that I'm referring to. But
Right.
it's definitely important to take security first, and it really can impact a business.
Walk us through for folks that don't know what that, training or monitoring looks like. So you embed yourself, you're a partner, right, of your clients, and you're offering, I would imagine, some sort of recorded training or hey, spend half an hour, 45 minutes on what to look out for, and to make sure you don't do this with your computer, right? Walk us through
Yeah, it's a
like that.
full, I would say ecosystem that we install. Certainly there's security awareness training for employees. There's verification of a cyber insurance policy in place, and that's kind of, the wrapping. But we have managed detection and response tools. We have endpoint detection tools. We have MFA installed at our customers. We have wireless, secured wireless and wired networks at their offices, manufacturing facilities. We're making sure their email is backed up, all their documents are backed up, on a agreeable timeline, meaning how long can you be down for, a day, an hour, a minute, all that costs more money the less time you're down, but that adds up when you're talking about how often they have to back up to the cloud. So it's really putting all of these security framework in place with our customers that, certainly is at an increased price, but not anywhere compared to what it would be if they were compromised, both from a direct impact, meaning the subcontractors, the lawyers, the ransomware they have to pay, but also the loss of revenue that could come up if, they can't deliver their product, they can't, service their customer, whatever it might be in different industries, that they really need to weigh those, and understand what a firm like us offers to keep our customers up and running.
Wow. Let me switch gears, if you don't mind, right now and talk a little bit about CEO stuff. I want to talk about your vision for the company, um, when you took over in 23, maybe versus now. Um, and I want to talk about how you uh, execute on that vision with your key people. This is multiple questions at once, which you never want to do, but is everyone on
So,
board with it? Does everyone know what they are working toward at Focus Technology Group, for the company?
I mean, I'd like to think so. We rolled out a strategic plan about a year ago. So I would say when I started about 18 months ago as CEO, the CEO, I'm the third one in about 27 years, right? We started in 98. So we had a CEO ran the company till about 2014, and then another CEO ran it from 14 to 23, and then myself. So, I came in and just looked at what's our vision for the future, and certainly managed services and continuing to grow and offer additional services around what we do at our existing customers. So, we continue to expand in the traditional services that we had, but what we've added, I would say, are two main services. One is a virtual CISO, which help companies comply with could be SOC 2, ISO, NIST, CMMC, HIPAA, PCI, whatever their standards are. Again, targeting that 50 to 2,000, 100 to 2,000 company that don't have the money to spend on full internal compliance staff. So we offer that as a managed service. And then something we added about a year ago is AI. We have basically AI as a service.
I've
We
heard of
have
it.
a consulting team in place that is leveraging partners. So we're not really developing any large language models or anything like that, but we're being a bridge between a leadership team, a management team, an executive team, whatever you want to call it, at our customers and the world of AI, right? We're bringing specific use cases in that are pre-built for that size company. It could be 100-person manufacturing of a product. We're bringing you use cases that specifically are built for companies your size, in your industry, in your vertical, to help you leverage AI and oversee the installment of it, oversee the effectiveness of it, and certainly oversee the return on investment of it. So those are two things that we focused on over the last year of security and AI that have just built on top of that managed services practice I was talking a little bit about earlier. And then we continue to expand. I would say the last thing is around geography. We primarily, for our first 25 plus years, was built around Boston. We're looking at opportunities to grow up and down the East Coast as we continue to expand over the next 3 to 5 years.
It's great. Of those three, which one has the most legs right now for you? What are you seeing the most traction? Managed services, growing the AI, internal AI, like closed loop type of stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And just expansion in geography.
Yeah, I would say that on the security side, I mean, the traditional managed services wrapped with security
Yeah.
every company needs today. I would say we're having tons of discussions around AI, and then certainly our geographic expansion is going to take a lot more time. But definitely, we're winning today with our security focus, with our CISO program, with our compliance program, with our SOC 2 certification that we got about 6 months ago. And we're really, leveraging that to continue our growth year in, year out. I think 26 will be a big AI year, and I would say 26, 27 when we get into the geographic expansion. But currently in 2025 is amazing the amount of traction from a security perspective.
What's your biggest challenge right now as a CEO with both internally and externally? So you got people challenges, right? That's always the biggest one, I think.
Yeah.
And then there's business challenges. What's the biggest
Yeah,
one?
I mean, I think the biggest challenge is the environment around us, right? I mean, we feel strongly in what we do. We feel strongly in what is required of our customers to have and leverage from us. And I think they're just scared of what's going on from an economic perspective and should they spend money, should they add cost, what is the return on some of those things, especially when you get into those AI discussions. So it is a challenge that deals are taking longer, sales cycles are taking longer, budgets are shrinking, certainly in that small middle market space. And that's without a doubt our number one challenge is managing, growth of our existing customers and onboarding and closing deals from a new customer perspective. And certainly internally, to your point, it's always around resources. Again, being a company that's 24/7, it stresses our resources. There's no doubt about that. There's no way to shy away from that. And we continue to try and do what's best for our employees, and continue to make sure they understand the importance we have as a leadership team for their service every day, for the nights and weekends that they have to work when customers need to be down in order to implement new equipment, or there's an issue with something at a customer site, that they're jumping in, and it's amazing what our employees do. They truly are, our number one asset, and we do as much as we can to support them and appreciate them so much.
This is going to be another kind of shameless plug for something different. CEO peer groups. You and I talked before the interview about decision making as a CEO.
Yeah,
Every CEO over the course of a day has, maybe 1,000 decisions to make, right? Yeah, at a minimum. Um, what have you found has been helpful to you in terms of helping you work through those decisions day to day, such as, do we grow through new account acquisition or current account expansion? Things like that.
yeah, yeah. I think, I mean, when specifically referring to a peer group, I'm in one, and there are companies that are similar to me, not necessarily in the IT space, but life cycle size, and what they do, and to be able to sit in a room with 7 or 8 other CEOs that have been in your seat. Specific example, I mentioned the strategic plan we rolled out. Well, I presented that to this group before I presented it to my board, and the feedback, I mean, is forever indebted to that group. I mean, they were
What did it do to your
honest.
confidence? I
What's
mean,
that?
what did it do to your confidence presenting
Uh,
to your,
I would say they gave me amazing suggestions that I took to heart and fixed before I walked into the board. And that's, I think it did amazing things for my confidence, because I knew that they were, they didn't care, so to speak. They're not on my
right?
board. They were just giving me direct, honest, knowledgeable feedback. They had presented strategic plans, plenty before in each of their cases. And that's just one example of many that I've found over the last year and a half in peer groups that really helped me. I mean, my background, as you mentioned, is a CFO. I'm a first-time CEO, so about 18 months. There's certainly I'm learning as we go, so to speak, and to be able to talk to somebody who's been in my shoes with a similar issue and how they reacted to that definitely helps me a lot.
Yeah. Well, with a few minutes to go, I know you got a tight schedule today. This has been really good. I'd like to do part two of this at some point, but I think what I'm trying to achieve with this podcast is to start that peer group concept of, hey, other CEOs are going through this. Let's hear about it on this podcast. But if we really want to get into case studies and helping me make a decision, a big decision about my business, yeah, let's get together in a peer
Yeah,
group 6, 8 times a year. Let's present cases, and it just makes us better. Come in with full humility, come in to a group of people that are just going to be a sounding board, have no stake in the game, right? Other than they're just like you, and they want to learn from you. They want to learn from each other. So,
absolutely.
yeah, I think the parting wisdom is that you're doing the right thing. I love I love the way that you're approaching your business. You have some really great insight into how to grow an MSP. A lot of exciting things for focused technology. And let's do this again. Let's have part two
Absolutely.
to this when you have some more time.
Appreciate that, Kurt. Thank you so much.